Hello, people of the internet. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Today is a day that I think many people in the K-pop industry were very much afraid of. Brave Girls, the absolute pinnacle of comeback stories. The Phoenix group of Phoenix groups. Gone through so many member changes and finally found a little bit of stability in around 2016, 2017, 2018. On the brink of disbandment in 2020. Roland absolutely popped off. We got Chima Baram afterwards. After We Ride, the two city pop classics. Then they featured on Queendom 2. They were, again, the underdog story. No thanks in part to Mnet's, very clever editing. But today, what is the date today? February 16th, 2023. The four members of Brave Girls and their exclusive contract with Brave Entertainment has officially run out, and they have not re-signed. Whether this is going to be indefinite hiatus or full-on disbandment, that is up in the air because media outlets seem to not know the difference between the two sometimes. But they didn't go out quietly. They went out with one final goodbye for Fearless Around the World with the song titled Goodbye. So before we get too in our feels about it, let's listen to the four members sing one last time and then watch the epilogue film that they released alongside with it. So we'll talk later after we're done watching about certain thoughts and feelings I have about this, but let's listen to some music, shall we? So here we go. 3, 2, 1.
세상의 끝에 서 있던 떨리는 내 손을 따스히 잡아주던 차디차게 식어버린 내 맘에
I quite like the jazziness of this song. There's like a little jazziness to it. There's a little bit of lounginess to it. Ooh. Now we're getting a little bit more like, it's like R&B-ish, R&B and modern jazz. I am noticing though, there isn't a lot of sadness in this. It kind of is like a last hurrah, like kind of like what Thank You was. Nice layered vocals. We got the ooh-ahs up top as well. Nice panning chimes. Ooh, very fancy chords there. That is such a powerful final note. Like, listen to this again. Oop.
Goodbye.
You just have the piano ringing on one note. And the piano's ringing on a note in where in the chord sequence it hasn't reached its resolution yet. The instrumental never finished. And yet the vocal top line is just whispering this airy goodbye, and that's how the song peters away. That is so powerful. Wow. I think it's this song in of itself, like regardless of the context, is a very interesting ballad type song because it doesn't feel too sad. It almost feels like reminiscent in a way, kind of like it feels like a thank you for what you've done or like a thank you for the past type of thing. And I really truly do think like this is such a good representation of just kind of like Blurred Girls as a group, that they really were a group that deserved a lot of attention and just never got it, and they just by sheer luck managed to get that little injection of luck, and they got that popularity on the brink. They were on the verge of disbanding. If you watched Queendom 2 and then you know the story behind how close Brave Girls as a group was just being non-existent, and then Roland resurged, and Roland won music shows years after it had originally released. Then they came back with brand new music. It was announced they were going to bring back new music, and the industry went mad over it. Everyone wanted to see the resurgence of these summer queens. And after Roland, we got a song that just epitomizes Brave Girls and their like summer queen status. Chima Baram was so summery. It was so happy. It was fun in the sun in music form. And the industry absolutely fell in love with it. Then they went their city pop routes with We Ride. That was a tremendous song, especially for someone who really likes that chill city pop vibe. That song was it. Then they did a repackage of that album. After We Ride, they went a little bit more upbeat energy, a little bit more retro synth, still keeping a little bit city pop. After We Ride, retro synth, masterpiece. I loved After We Ride. That song, to this day, ranks really high in songs that I stream on Spotify. And then, what was the song that came out next? They dropped Thank You. And that was when I think people's gears started turning. Out of nowhere, they drop a song called Thank You. And don't get me wrong, Thank You was kind of a bop. Like, it was kind of like a low-key bop that I feel like was just didn't really fit the profile of like what people in like the K general public and like beyond kind of clocked as like, you know, what you would typically associate with Brave Girls, because they had been city pop for a while, and before then they were like summer bops. Thank You at the time didn't really feel like a song a group was preparing before they disbanded. And in hindsight, it just looks, it's like there's a lot of subliminal messaging going on behind it. While the song really was just like saying thank you to their fans for sticking with them for so long and for getting them, you know, back into the spotlight again. They went on Queendom 2, and frankly, they're like the groups they were up against with how much of a popularity contest Queendom 2 was going to be. I think anyone who took a second to think about it knew that Brave Girls were going to struggle a little bit in the show in terms of rankings. And to be fair, they did. They were, again, on the verge of elimination. But their story captivated the audience. Their story of going from absolutely nothing on the verge of disappearing from the world into this magical rise back into stardom. No, not many groups can say they've gone through that and survived. EXID are, I think, the only other major name that has kind of been referred to like a phoenix group in a way. But we didn't get anything after Queendom 2. Like, at all. This is the only release we've gotten after Queendom 2. They did a tour. They did a North American tour after Queendom 2. Still didn't get new music. Their song they did for the finale on Queendom 2, Whistle, absolutely tremendous song. It encapsulated everything great about Brave Girls. The summer energy, just the happy, cheery vibes that Yoo-jung's smile would absolutely fit into. The absolutely magical vocals from Eunji and from Minyoung. Like, there was so much potential for Brave Girls to continue riding that popularity train. Because even if Rollin' was an absolute hit, and it became an absolute hit, and Chimaparam, We Ride After We Ride, and Thank You to an extent, there was still a good following behind Brave Girls. The company never capitalized on it. And here we are. They just... I think the members knew already that it just there wasn't gonna be anything to improve, and they just cut their losses and said, no, we're done. And it's totally understandable. As painful as it is, it's completely understandable how the company just absolutely failed to manage that group. Makes me sad. But we have the Epilogue Film to check out, so... Oops, here we go. The Epilogue Film. No captions, that's fine.
안녕하세요. 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 브레이브걸스입니다.
Goodbye, 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 goodbye. 어둠 속을 홀로 걷던 세상의 끝에 서 있던 떨리는 내 손을 따스히 잡아주던 차디차게 식어버린 내 맘에 빛을 내려 날 밝게 빛나게 해준 Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye 행복했던 그 순간
These are shots from like very recent MVs, because this is After We Ride, and then everything before that was Chimaparam.
시간 지나가면 우리 언젠가 다시 만날 그날 오길 Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye 아름답던 기억만 남길게 소중했던 순간들 내 맘에 담은 채 Baby I don't wanna say goodbye But I have to say goodbye Yeah, 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 yeah 내 귓가를 맴돌던 달콤한 내 목소리가 멀리서 날 부를
The
때면
Chimaparam set.
널 찾아 두리번데 두 눈에 날 꼭 담고 싶은
For those of you who haven't checked out Brave Girls' like very recent discography stuff, go and check it out, because it is such a good time. And of course, you gotta have Rollin'.
Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye 행복했던 그 순간 Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye 이게 끝이 아니길 시간 지나가면 우리 언젠가 다시 만날 그날 오길 Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye 아름답던 기억만 남길게 Don't let her cry
Man, this one is. There have been a big handful of disbandments that have hit me hard as like a fan. G Friend, Eyes One, even smaller groups like very new groups like Hot Issue and Bugaboo. But this one for me, this one hurts on a different level because this one is. I didn't have a very like close attachment to Brave Girls. I liked their music and that was about it. But I know of people who absolutely adored them, even during their like older lineups. As for those of you who don't know, these four have only been around since 2016, but the group Brave Girls has been around since like the early 2010s. They went through so many changes in terms of like lineups, in terms of concepts, in terms of sounds, and even through thick and thin, there was a very die-hard group of fans that stuck with them all the way to the end. And the members knew, and they've been vocal about their frustrations towards how their group was being managed. Take for reference, their company's CEO is Brave Brothers. He's a producer, the legendary K-pop producer. If you've listened to a lot of songs from the early to mid 2010s and you heard the Brave Sound stinger, you'll know immediately. Like Bestie, of course, the Brave Girls songs themselves. A lot of songs had the Brave Sound stinger at the beginning. And that's fine. He's a very talented producer. I'm not going to knock him for that. What he failed to do, though, was give his own company's group a chance. Because I think this is my personal thoughts here. Brave Brothers is a producer first and a CEO second, and I think that showed in how Brave Girls was run. Because I think it was Queendom 2. Min Young jokingly was like talking down about Brave Brothers because he wrote and composed songs for quite literally their rival groups before Brave Girls. He wrote and produced songs for Brave Girls' immediate competition and didn't give his own group a chance. This is very much similar to what Ryan S. Jun did with Bugaboo. Ryan S. Jun is a very well-known producer in the industry now, especially in the last few years. He is everywhere. He decided that his company would debut their own girl group, Bugaboo. They debuted with their self-titled track and then dropped Bot very long time later and just canned him. Just didn't give his own group a chance. And frankly, with Brave Girls, yes, they've been around for a very long time now in terms of K-pop years. They've been around for a long time. But they could have been around for so much longer. They had so much more to give and just never got the chance to. And it makes me sad. Not to take away from any of the other groups that have disbanded in similar fashion. Some Q groups come to mind, but I don't know, man. I'm glad they got one final song in for their fans, though, because I think the members more than anyone deserved it. But yeah. Thank you to Brave Girls. They were an inspiration and an icon. And they will be in the K-pop history books for a very, very long time. That the name Brave Girls isn't going to be easily forgotten. No chance in hell. And I hope the members, regardless of if it's going to be full-on disbandment, they go their separate ways, or they're deciding they're going to just take a step back from group work, focus on their own stuff, and possibly have a reunion later down the road. I don't know what's going to happen. But good job, and rest easy. You've more than earned it. Go check out some Brave Girls music today. Just reminisce on the good times. My personal recommendations: the Chimaparam album, very good. The B-side Pool Party is a very good song. Also, the entire High Heels album. High Heels, Help Me, and Deepened, which has been claimed by a lot of people in the K-pop industry as Brave Girls' best song. Deepened is tremendous. So, my personal picks, After We Ride, that album, because that has We Ride and stuff on it, the Chimaparam album, and the High Heels album. Those three I highly recommend you go check out, because it is such an experience, and it is such a good time listening to their music, especially in those three eras, I think, for me personally. But this has gone on for a very long time now. Thank you all for listening to me ramble. If you made it this far and want to see more, channel icon is up there. You can find the back catalog of stuff watched in the past. Drop a subscription if you want to keep up to date with whenever I upload new videos. And if you want to watch another video of mine right away, YouTube recommends you watch that video down there. And until next time, bye-bye.